for reading my entire life, professional history. But let me just say, in case it wasn't clear, the reason I'm here today is because my boss cannot be. So I work for Jim McGovern, and I am his senior I'm his senior staffer for the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission. He very much regrets not being able to make it. There was a very last minute change in his schedule, literally yesterday, about midday, and it was inevitable, it was unavoidable, and so he does send his deepest congratulations on your 35th anniversary and his best wishes for the future of this organization and your coalitions. So what I thought I would do is just say a few words about him and his history and how that shapes the work the Commission has done, and then what we have done or how we have approached countries specifically, or especially in sub-Saharan Africa. And then with that, we'll have a panel discussion, and hopefully everybody can participate in giving us new ideas also going forward at a moment when the human rights agenda and the democracy agenda feels a bit under siege for many reasons. So just to let you know, so I first met Jim McGovern in the early 2000s. And as you can tell from my long life history, my own personal experiences in Latin America, and at that point I was actually advocating on behalf of human rights and democracy in Latin America. The organization I was working with at the time, the Washington Office on Latin America, WOLA, organized a couple of different congressional delegations to Colombia, and Mr. McGovern joined those delegations. So I had the opportunity to travel with him for a few days and actually did everything from logistics and organizing to translating for him. And I learned as a result of that he had been a leading advocate for human rights in Central America, especially in El Salvador, throughout the 1980s and 1990s. And he was continuing that strong advocacy in Colombia at that time. During the 9 years I lived in Colombia, Jim McGovern was the go-to member of Congress for us. Whenever we needed U.S. support to protect human rights defenders, when we were looking for support from the Congress for peace initiatives, for social justice initiatives, for accountability for ongoing human rights violations there, he was one of the first people we went to. And as we tried to find ways, collectively, forward to put an end to in that case, Colombia's more than 50 years of internal armed conflict and violence. And then when I came back to the US in 2014, there was this happily unexpected opportunity to actually go to work for him. And so that's how I ended up at the Human Rights Commission. I agreed to join this team. And I've been with the Commission since January of 2015. And what I immediately learned was that while I had known him as an advocate for rights and democracy in Latin America, people in many other parts of the world knew him as an advocate for human rights and democracy in their countries. There are many members of Congress who take up human rights issues in particular places, often in response to constituent interests or a particular personal experience that they have had. But there are not that many members who advocate for human rights and democratization around the world in a global sense, that have a commitment, an across-the-board commitment to human rights and democracy. And Mr. McGovern is one of those few members. So in the last 4 years, I've had the privilege of working with him to try to find ways to respond to human rights crises in places as varied as China, Tibet, Bahrain, Syria, Central America, Russia, and some countries in sub-Saharan Africa. And that's a short part of the list. So it's really a global agenda that he supports. And you may or may not know, Mr. McGovern is Catholic, he's a practicing Catholic, and his approach to human rights is shaped by the Church's social justice teachings. I'm guessing that is a familiar set of teachings for many of you in this room, and a shared commitment for many of you. He believes in the human dignity of each and every person, and he believes that governments everywhere should do their utmost to ensure conditions that will allow all people to fulfill their promise. To begin with, that means ending violence. And indeed, the Congressman has been a strong supporter of peace processes throughout the world. He also knows that peace is more than just laying down arms, that laying down arms is the first critical step in the process of building sustainable peace wherever you are in the world. It is a necessary but not sufficient step. And it is a necessary step precisely for the kind of integral development that we just heard referenced. He also knows that it's very hard for people to live in dignity if they're hungry. And so he dedicates a lot of his time to ending hunger here in the United States and abroad. That's the reason he sits on the Agricultural Committee in the House and the reason that he chairs the Nutrition Subcommittee. Third, he understands that governments everywhere have to be pressured to do the right thing. No governments, or very few governments, hardly ever stand up and just do the right thing out of their own volition. The way things get better in this world is by people speaking up and exerting pressure, whether it's in the streets, in protests, or by voting, or in private meetings with officials, or through other strategies. And that, of course, is exactly how democracy is supposed to work. But it's also the only way anything can ever change in countries ruled by authoritarian governors or officials. Although the cost for people will always be much higher in that kind of regime. So he is a strong and constant advocate for the rights of human rights defenders and civil society organizations, for the empowerment of people, the empowerment of human rights defenders, including women, and for minority communities, whether it be minority ethnic communities, religious communities, political communities. Because anytime people find themselves in the minority on whatever basis, that's when they're more likely to end up needing those human rights protections. Human rights defenders, civil society organizations, and minority communities are always his principal concern, not the country's leaders, however great they may turn out to be for however long. He concerns himself with the well-being of people and sees government as a means to that end. So the Congressman has been the co-chair of the Human Rights Commission since it was created in 2008. And when you review the work that we do and the initiatives that we've undertaken under his leadership, you can see how all these principles play out. So with regard to Africa, and sub-Saharan Africa in particular, the Commission has been a strong supporter of efforts to end internal armed conflicts throughout the region. With more and less success, I think for probably all of you, the Sudan, South Sudan resolution was probably a great success. I don't think we can look at it as a great success right now, but it's something that he strongly supported and continues to concern him. The most recent example of a conflict that we would like to see brought to a negotiated resolution is Cameroon. We just recently, back in May, did a briefing on the growing and intensifying conflict there between the Anglo and Francophone communities. The Commission has consistently advocated for strengthening democracy throughout the region, and it has consistently opposed the growing tendency of African leaders, including elected leaders, or especially elected leaders, to stay in office beyond the expiration of their term limits, to convert themselves or transform themselves into leaders for life. The Democratic Republic of Congo is a clear example of that. We have taken on the issue and done what we can to encourage Mr. Kabila to step down and to hold the elections that should have been held a couple years back. The Commission has consistently and strongly supported human rights of journalists and the rights of the political opposition throughout the region. We do that through individual meetings where people come to see us when they're in town. We do that through briefings. For example, in the closing space for civil society. Kenya is an example, but there are many other examples, unfortunately, in Africa of the increasing, for example, use of anti-terrorism legislation to close the space for legitimate opposition, to shut off dissent, and to throw people who are simply exercising fundamental human rights into prison under that rubric. So we've been a consistent voice against that kind of approach. And the Commission also has a Defending Freedoms project in which individuals who are imprisoned for reasons of conscience anywhere in the world can be taken up, their cases can be taken up by members of Congress and advocated for by members of Congress. At the moment, there's a DFP case from Eritrea, in the past there have been cases from Ethiopia. There are surprisingly, however, few cases from African countries given all of the complications and unrest and conflicts and whatnot and inappropriate detention in the continent. So it's a strategy when you think about your strategies to continue to strengthen it in the Congress. It's something you might want to consider doing. The Commission has consistently condemned human rights violations across the board, both by states and by non-state actors. and strongly supports accountability efforts. Ideally, internal accountability efforts, since those tend often not to advance very quickly. We have also supported regional and international accountability efforts. The Congressman is a strong supporter of the International Criminal Court, believes that the United States should have joined at the beginning, and has supported other kinds of both international and hybrid tribunals to try to bring those most responsible for especially gross and massive violations of human rights to account. The way that we most often work is to look at the human rights situation in an entire country. We have done recent events on Ethiopia, on the Chibok abductions in Nigeria. The situation with Joseph Kony and the LRA has been an ongoing concern for Mr. McGovern and for the Commission. Sudan, South Sudan, Eritrea, Nigeria, the growing conflict, and this is a conflict that would be important for many of you to weigh in on. It seems to me the Middle Belt conflict in Nigeria, which has many roots, but is increasingly being portrayed as a religious conflict, and that brings certain risks, that carries certain risks in the way that the United States might respond. And finally, we sought to highlight the consequences of human rights violations within and outside the conflict of armed conflicts, and we have encouraged and supported U.S. government initiatives to address those consequences. So support for refugees and internally displaced peoples, of which there are hundreds of thousands in Africa, and for all affected civilians. And then, in addition to the specific work on Commission Africa, we also work on a variety of thematic issues which form part of the challenges for the world today on the human rights front. So again, the rights of ethnic and religious minorities, the question of human trafficking, on which the Congress, on a bipartisan basis, has taken a lot of action, taken many steps to try to address human trafficking. Fewer steps perhaps on the labor trafficking front. Accountability for genocide, and increasingly this year we're looking at the issue of prevention of atrocities so that we could get to the point where we could prevent these kinds of human rights violations without waiting for them to happen and then having to try to figure out how to address the effects afterwards. I would summarize the Commission's position, the Congress's position on this as we need to see strong democratic governance. We need to see rotation of leadership. We need to see a stepping back from the misuse of counterterrorism language to penalize opposition and civil society actors. We need security forces in the region that do not themselves commit human rights violations. We need as much or more attention on development, on integral development, as we have on the provision of security assistance. We need to track not only who gets our security assistance, but who uses it and how it is used and whether it is used in appropriate ways and consistent with U.S. Objectives and values. And that's a huge agenda. And so as I said at the beginning, we're also looking for new ideas and new approaches because we do feel a bit, well, I don't know that he feels under siege. I think Mr. McGovern has this ability to just keep going forward like the Energizer bunny. But I think those of us, the staff level do sometimes feel like the problems are so enormous and that we could be losing ground. And so we look to you all, we look to civil society and organizations and churches who care about other countries, who care about the rest of the world, to work with us to come up with new strategies and new approaches that can help us advance towards the shared goals of just governance and integral and sustainable development. So I would leave it at that. And again, my apologies that he wasn't able to be here today. He would have said all this better and just better with an Irish or a Massachusetts accent to boot. But I hope this at least gives you a sense of what we've been doing and where he stands, and let you know that he will continue to be a strong ally for you going forward on all of these issues. And with that, I will